Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Downtown Center Bid's first virtual development tour for downtown LA. I'm Cole Judge, Program Manager for the Downtown Center Bid, and a few housekeeping items. We recommend you go into full screen mode when watching, and browser we recommend is Chrome. And also I want to acknowledge that we have chat and question tabs. If you have comments, please feel free to put them in the chat. We just ask that you be respectful and keep the chat on topic. And at the end, we'll have some time for Q&A. So if you have questions throughout the presentation, please leave them in the questions tab. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our Executive Director of the Downtown Center Bid, Nick Griffin.
All right. Hello, everyone. Can you all hear me? Great. Yeah, good morning, everyone. Thank you all for joining us. Joining us for today's launch of our virtual tour platform. We're really excited to launch this because it elevates one of the Bid's signature services, tours of downtown, to a whole new level. In a sense, it's like a mashup of some of our key offerings, our tours, our website, our market reports, our website, and it gives us and all of you a great new tool for promoting DTLA. I think I can speak for the whole team when I say that this project has also been special because it's an opportunity that arose out of the crisis. We would not have built this if not for all the pandemic pivots we had to make last year, which I know you can all identify with. But now we have something that we think can be a real game changer. So that's exciting for us. One of the reasons I'm so bullish on downtown's future is that I believe that the kind of energy and spirit that went into this project is going to help spur our recovery. DTLA, as I often say, is a place of innovation and creativity. That's been our superpower and our greatest asset over the 20 years of our renaissance, and I'm confident it's going to help us revitalize as we come out of this crisis. So, speaking of great assets and superpowers, I want to give a few well-earned shout-outs here. First, to our intrepid president and CEO, Suzanne Holly, for having the supreme vision and incredible patience to support this project from inception to fruition. I also want to thank Jamie Schwartzman and the whole Flux branding team for being the best damn creative partners you could ever want on a project. Really top-notch, great downtown firm. And finally, the star of today's show, Elon Shore, whose unique talents as a tour guide and immense knowledge of downtown really combined to shape this project into something that I think is really great. And so with that, I will give you Elon Shore.
Thanks, Nick. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. As Nick said, my name is Elon Shore. I am the Director of Research and Special Projects with the Downtown Center Bid. And today we're doing something very exciting. We're going to give you a sneak preview of a new way to tour downtown LA on our virtual tour platform. Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the bid, the genesis of this virtual tour, and then we're going to go into downtown. So the Downtown Center Bid is a coalition of nearly 2,000 property owners in the 65 square blocks of the Downtown Center, which includes Bunker Hill, the Financial District, and the Jewelry District. We have been a catalyst of the downtown renaissance over the past 20 years and remain committed to its betterment today and into the future. As Nick said, tours have been a signature offering of the bid since its inception. You know, housing tours, office tours, custom tours for investors, brokers, tenants, you name it, we tour it. So when the pandemic hit, those who've been with us, we normally pack 50 people onto a bus, and we knew we weren't going to be doing that anytime soon. And out of that challenge was born this virtual tour platform. So at this point, I am going to bring up the tour screen, and I'm actually going to shut off my camera so that you can see this in full view. So we designed this with real estate folks in mind, folks like you. So we're really excited to share it with you. And what we're demoing today and what we're launching early next week, it'll be live, should be live on Monday, really focuses on new developments and recently opened projects in the pipeline. Later, we'll be adding existing office, retail, hospitality. We'll also be adding customizable options. Now, currently, the platform is mobilized for desktop or laptop. Mobile will be coming soon. And while Nick's referred to me as the star of the show, I will gladly defer to the high-res 360-degree panoramic images and drone video footage that you're going to see that in your browser will look the best they could ever possibly look, and certainly, much better than even we can show you today. So hopefully you will all go back and check it out for yourself once it goes live. So with that, we are going to head into DTLA. And as I said, we're going to start with our development tour, which is what we are launching today. These are coming soon. So I'm going to just take a moment to look at our map. I'm going to close this real quick so we can, this is downtown. This is our district in the purple. And these are the 4 main stops on our tour. And we will be adding a couple more stops, but what you will see is each of these stops has associated with it multiple venues. And it's the venues that are the real thing that we're looking at, and these are each of the developments. Now, this navigation drawer is always here, so wherever you are in the tour, you can always just click on this, and that will pop up and help you get around. Also want to mention we have market stats. These are from our most recent market report, which just came out a couple of weeks ago, review of the year. And you can just click here to download the full report. And I'm going to say, there is a lot of content in this platform. I don't know that I can possibly cover all of it in the time we have allotted, but we're going to try to cover as much as you can. But we designed this really for you to go in and explore as well. So with that, let's go to our first stop. And as you can see, we arrive here. This is Bunker Hill. This is 2nd and Grand, and you're seeing the first of our panoramic images. So down here at the bottom, we have this info drawer, tells you a little bit about the area. And then as you mouse over these, you can see our 4 key venues. And if I click on them, you see that the image actually rotates. And as I said, these are 360-degree panoramic images, so you can turn all the way around and see everything in the surrounding area. So as I say, these are our venues. And then we also have these smaller markers. These are called points of interest, we're calling them. They are some of the features in the area that aren't necessarily directly related to the tour. So, Walt Disney Concert Hall and the Broad and the Colburn School, the part of our Grand Avenue Arts Center, art scene. So we started here for 2 reasons. One, because it's a really great image, but secondly, because we feel like this area here, this Bunker Hill, is so much of both the history of downtown all the way back to the 20s and then through the building of the commercial business district and the office towers. And we really feel like the projects we're seeing here now are leading us into the future and into our recovery from where we are today. So with that, I'm going to start with our first venue, which is the Grand. And I'm now, as you see, when you come to the venue, you're going to see this drawer gives you some basic info about the project, things like, the developer, the related company designed by Frank Gehry. You then can close that so we can have a look at, and these are all, each venue is also, again, a 360-degree panoramic image that allows you to see the project in relation to ones in the area. For example, right next to the Grand is the Colburn School, and Frank Gehry is designing an expansion for their adding some performance venues that is actually going to go behind this project. So if you've been in downtown recently, this picture is actually fairly recent. We took it fairly recently. This project is moving at an exponential, at light speed. So what we have on the venues are these content markers. So the star will bring up these key facts about the project. So we're looking at over 400 apartments, 20% of those designated as affordable rate, over 300 rooms at the LA's first Equinox Hotel, and a significant amount, over 170,000 square feet of retail and restaurant space. That really is, in a lot of ways, the biggest piece of this for Bunker Hill, which is an area that has been, it hasn't had the level of amenities that it probably deserves. Most of our projects have also, again, for almost all, we have these image galleries. So these are the renderings of the project. This is the plaza. And I've got to give a shout out to Related. In my work, I look at a lot of renderings. These are some of the best renderings I've ever seen, especially like these ones that really show how the project is going to impact Bunker Hill, and as you'll see, and the whole surrounding area, and also how it kind of plays with the Walt Disney Concert Hall just across the road, also designed by Frank Gehry. In this case, we actually also have the ability to take the virtual tour that the Grand has put together through all of their renderings. I'm not going to do all of that right now. In addition, on some of them, you will see videos. You can play those videos. This one is on the groundbreaking at the Grand. So that's our first venue. And as I said, we can turn things now and look and see our other venues. And we're just going to take a little stroll, if you will, down Grand Avenue to our next venue, which is Halo DTLA. So again, I can turn and look back, see where I am. Halo is the new food and beverage center, if you will, for the Wells Fargo Plaza, developed by Brookfield, which owns Wells Fargo Plaza, as well as the Bank of America Plaza right here. And this is part of an effort on their part to build sort of a campus environment on Bunker Hill for the office workers, which again, will be coming back and will be looking for these kinds of amenities. I want to bring up again some of these renderings, and one of the things that strikes me about this one and the Grand and some of the others is just how well they fit with the sort of current sensibilities about people gathering. There's a lot of outdoor area. There's a lot of open space. It's intended for people to be able to visit and enjoy without having to be kind of on top of each other. And they are bringing in some excellent vendors, as it says here, Shake Shack, Trejo's Tacos. These are the kinds of things that I think the workers on Bunker Hill are really going to enjoy and want to see when they return to the office. So now if I just turn our camera around real quick, we can see just across the road our third venue, which is the Yard, which, if you're familiar with, this used to be the Water Court, home of grand performances. Unfortunately, issues with the water feature required that they make some changes. And so the three properties around here, so we have one California Plaza, two California Plaza, and the Omni Hotel. The owners there got together, brought in Gensler to renovate this space. And as you can see, this is, again, I highlighted again, very much in line with our current thinking and sensibilities about gathering spaces and outdoor space. One of the things I love here is with this platform, you can really see how you go from a place like Halo, you just cross the road. Here's this beautiful little outdoor space. And if I turn this around, I hope nobody has vertigo. You can see here, this is Angel's Flight. And then right at the bottom of Angel's Flight, we have Grand Central Market. So filling in these spaces really does quite a bit to enhance the environment, enhance the outdoor experience on Bunker Hill. The last of our stops, last of our venues here at this stop is the Metro Regional Connector. And it's a project I think people that know downtown are really familiar with, but if you're not, We're talking about a $2 billion project to both expand rail access in downtown with new stops, adding a new connection between all of the metro rails. And I have a map here that I'll show you. But this is the just sort of the hole in the ground right now. This is what we're looking at, and I want you to keep an eye on this pedestrian bridge, because that's really possibly the biggest feature here, is that you can go from the metro into up off of the station, then just cross on the pedestrian bridge and you're on Bunker Hill. Let me just get to this. This is the map of the regional connector. So I don't know if you can see my cursor, but you have the red and purple line. That's the goes from Union Station, 7th Metro Center, all the way out to North Hollywood and Hollywood. But then we have these formerly named the Gold Line, the Blue Line, the Expo Line, and they didn't all connect. So this dashed red, yellow, and blue line is that connection. We're going to connect all of these. We're going to add these new stops. And what it means, the simplest way, as I can explain from my perspective, is that I live in Monrovia, which is just east of Pasadena. We have a Gold Line station. Today, if I want to go to Staples Center, I would have to take 3 trains. I'd have to change trains twice. When this is complete in 2022, next year, you will be able to go, I would be able to take 1 train from Monrovia Station right to Staples Center, no changes. Those kinds of improvements, I think, are going to have a huge impact. And this is possibly one of my favorite things about it, because I can never show this on our tours, but having this metro station here, which is the only station on Bunker Hill, and then we just sort of look over here and we see this, several million square feet of office space that will now have a direct metro access to it. And then we turn to the left and we have all these great cultural institutions that people will want to visit that now will have a metro station right at the foot of it. So with that, I'm going to just very quickly mention this mini map up here, just as far as navigation. So you will see these 4 purple markers. These are our stops. And then when you are at whatever stop you are at, the red markers will show you the venues that you will see there. So now I'm going to just take us back to the 2nd and Grand stop, and we are going to move on to our next stop. And for this, we're going to hop in our drone and we're going to hang on and travel by drone over to 1st and Broadway. And I do want to say, I hope that you're all able to see this with really well. There may be if your connection is good, you should be seeing exactly what I'm seeing. So now when we get here to 1st and Broadway, I'm just going to turn around again. You can see the other stops. You can see how this is just sort of a couple of blocks away from where we were before, but it's a totally different environment, and one that I would say in downtown is really, arguably one of the most in need of some love, because this is the nexus of Bunker Hill, historic core. If you just go straight down Broadway, and then if we turn over here, you've got the City Hall, we've got our government offices, our courthouse, and Grand Park. I'm going to start with a project that I think I'm very excited for personally, which is Fab Park, 1st and Broadway Park. This used to be a state of California office building, was demolished in the 1970s and has been sitting empty since then. The city put together the funding to do this. They had a design competition that was won by Studio MLA. One of the key features of this park is really it's very amenity focused. There's 11,000 square feet of restaurant space. It's sort of space for social activities, for gatherings. And I think just looking at these, I really feel like it's going to add so much. But I can't show anything better than I think this. This is what we see today, just a blank piece of space with the projects. There's the Grand in the background. But we can just slide this over and just see what the addition of this park would add to this area, what it would, expand on what's already there with Grand Park. Of course, that's just the first piece of the puzzle here. Our next one is this project right here. So everyone, I'm sure, is familiar with the LA Times building. It was purchased by the Awney Group, who are one of the most active developers in downtown LA in the last 5 years. They have been building a ton of residential property. They have bought some great office properties and have just been very, very bullish on downtown since they arrived. The project they're proposing would see the renovation of the original Times and Mirror building with more than 300,000 square feet of office space, and the demolition of the 1970s add-on. So what that looks like, and by the way, these are brand new renderings that were just approved. I believe the project was just approved in the past few weeks with these new renderings and a new architect. But you can see, I think these are not unambitious designs, and we're talking about 2 towers with several hundred rental units, and also activating a lot of that ground, that street level space that is currently just an empty, just empty on the street. And what some of that will look like, this is a bit of an older rendering, but I think the spirit still remains. So this is the Spring Street side of the building. When activated, we're looking at really taking advantage of this great bit of architecture and try to make it more of again, more amenity focused. Now, behind the Times building, we have 2 projects. So the first one is this Metro Regional Connector. This is the First and Broadway stop that's gonna, again, we saw access to City Hall, the courthouses, and then also, if I turn around, there's if we just go a block or so down Broadway, we're at Grand Central Market. This was just to give you a sense of how much, about over 240,000 tons of earth was removed in order to create the tunnel. That was done with a tunnel boring machine that named Angeli, which I think is kind of cool. But this is the rendering for the station here. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it because you'll note that right in the middle of this is a venue marker for another project, which is 222 South Spring Street. This is Tribune Real Estate, a project that they are proposing and working on that will begin construction once the regional connector is finished. It was originally proposed as office and hotel. It's now residential. We've seen some new renderings that have come in for this, and this is one of 2 projects that you're going to see this that incorporates the metro station into the ground floor of the property. So you will actually, that's why I say that station that's there now will likely, very shortly after that, be replaced by the ground floor of this project from Tribune. And here's sort of, this is a pretty dramatic one. There's what we see today, and that's what the project will look like when completed. So quite a lot of activity just in this one little, 1 block area, and that hasn't seen as much attention perhaps as it should have. I will just take a moment to say that one of the other longer term planning process is a civic center master plan that would see the addition of more mixed use buildings here in the civic center. So that's First and Broadway. So now we are going to again jump into our drone and travel down to our 3rd stop, which is Pershing Square. And Pershing Square is actually, we are referring, it's both a stop and a venue because it is such a central feature of downtown that it really defines a lot of the area around it. So we have these 5 venues here at Pershing Square, and I'm going to start with the biggest, and the boldest, and one that's, actually, I understand got some movement just the other day. And again, I'll just sort of mention there you can see the yard and halo that we saw before. So we're just down the hill into what's called today Angels Knoll. And this is McFarland Partners is developing this with hotels, residential units. There is space for school. One of the features of this is that this was approved with only 750 parking spaces. That's much less than what used to be required. It's part of the thinking of making downtown less of a car-dependent area. This is what we're expecting to see. This space here, actually, this was originally meant for the third California Plaza Tower to match the Cal 1 and 2. You have the one tall tower, one shorter tower. For me, again, the star of this show is the plaza. Not just the fact, right now you can't even go on Angels Knoll, so just having access to that space, but the vision of creating a plaza that not only is appealing unto itself, but provides a new, more passageway, more ways to get from the bottom of Bunker Hill up to the top. I think this before and after will really drive that point home, because on the bottom left there, that's the metro station. That's the Pershing Square metro station. So as I move over, this is what we have to look forward to. And I think we can all agree that's a much more active and useful space than what's there right now. And I'll be mentioning McFarland Partners a couple of times because they have a couple of projects we'll talk about later. The next one is the Beacon. This is right across the road from Angels Landing, right next to Grand Central Market, and is proposed on one of the things that we like to call our endangered species of downtown, which is the concrete surface parking lot. These will also have units reserved for low and workforce income housing. We will also have it'll also have access through the metro to the Metro Red Line station this time, and this is the latest rendering. It's gone through a few design changes with the height of the podium and underground parking, but this is what we're looking at again with the metro station built right into the project. Which is something I think very exciting for people that are excited about expanding transit use in downtown. Next, we go to Park Fifth. This is one of the first McFarland project that was complete, or the second actually. This one in Trademark, right here alongside Pershing Square. This was a project long in development, but once it was completed, it really added so much to the area. Just by this was one of those surface parking lots that's no longer there. But as we'll see when we look at Pershing Square, it really helped define the space. Not only that, but McFarland Partners, as part of their approval, provided $1 million in community benefit funding towards renovating Pershing Square. I'm going to open up these images. These are, this project is open. It opened, I want to say, about a year ago. When we add the residential component to this tour, you're going to see more of these kinds of images, and you're also going to see more of the, you're also going to have more ways to connect with the property. Same with the office. We want this to be a tool that will allow people to, this is about development, but if we're doing one on office space, if you're looking for office space and you see a building, I would like to be in that building, we'll find a way for, you'll see a way to connect there. But this is one of the nicest projects in terms of the amenities, in terms of everything that's available to the residents. Very much in line, but at the higher end for what we see in downtown among residential. And again, it's right here at the foot of Bunker Hill, right next to Pershing Square. So I'll click on Trademark. This is the part of the same development. They actually share amenities, but this is low rise. Again, this will be featured on our residential tour as one of the options that people can consider here in downtown. And then finally we get to, the Pershing Square itself. And I don't need to tell anyone, I think, on here that, the current design of Pershing Square, I don't think is anyone's favorite. It has some challenges. You may be familiar with the design competition that was held a few years ago that was won by a company called Agence Terre that proposed flattening the whole surface of it, radical redesign that I think everyone was really excited about, but may take a little bit more than is available to get done in the short term. So the city decided what we're going to do is we're going to do a short term and a long term. And phase one of the renovation now is along Olive Street in front of the Millennium Biltmore Hotel. Phase two will be along Hill Street, right next to sort of the gateway into the jewelry district, which is just down to the left. This is the plan for the renovation. The one on top, that's what our phases one. Phase three is on the bottom. As you can see, that's the proposed complete redesign. Very, very different. This is the view on Hill Street of what it'll look like after phase two is complete. And just from overhead, I think, maybe it's just, I see this already as being a substantial improvement in terms of the use of the space and its accessibility. One of the things I love about this platform, also just the perspective that we're able to give. I think people don't realize just how big Pershing Square is and how central it is. You look, there's the financial district, Bunker Hill, again, the historic core. By the way, I'll just mention this is Perla. Those are condo towers. They should be opening up soon. You see the historic core, fashion district, the arts district in the distance, and there's the jewelry district, and just up ahead to the south, there's South Park. So very excited to see the progress that we hope we're going to see here at Pershing Square. So that's our third of our stops, third of our four, and we are now going to travel over to our final stop, which is 8th and Figueroa. Now, this is a part of downtown. Most people who know downtown, in fact, this is probably how you first saw downtown, was coming in along the 110 with all of these buildings along, these tall office towers, now mixed with more mixed use towers. But this is kind of a key. This is one of the densest areas for activity in downtown, the intersection of 7th and Figueroa. We've done pedestrian studies. It's the most trafficked intersection for pedestrians. And we have four projects we're going to highlight here. We have the Wilshire Grand Center, a project called 8th and Figueroa, Metropolis, and 944 West 8th Street. And just to mention here, in the back, this is the block. This is a project that is going to feature heavily in upcoming tours. It's a office tower, hotel, retail, and really, one of the critical projects, I think, going of the last few years, and I think something that's going to help lead the way going forward after we get out of our current situation. So this is the Wilshire Grand Center. And this is not a brand new project, but we really felt it needed to be part of our development tour because of what it symbolized at the time, and to an extent what it still symbolized. It's an aspirational project. It was the first new office tower, Class A office tower space built in downtown in several decades, and it brought in a 900-room intercontinental hotel, which downtown has desperately needed more hotel rooms. And I will say, in our current situation, that may be, the reality may be a little bit hard to remember, but we are looking at seeing significantly more visitors coming into downtown in the future. I tilted over here just so you can see Staples Center and the Convention Center. This is the time when I want to mention that we are scheduled to host the 2028 Olympics, which by that time, we expect we're still going to have millions of people coming to Los Angeles to see the games. And this is just the first of several very large hotel projects that are being built, that have been built, are being built, will be built to both meet that need and the needs for downtown going forward. It was always a bit of a chicken and egg. We didn't get a lot of hotels because people weren't coming downtown. Then people started coming downtown and became more of an interest place to be, but we needed more hotels. So we're now finding finding that balance. But this is the Wilshire Grand Center, and just, defining project for downtown. 8th and Figueroa, this is one of our endangered species. This is was a surface parking lot, and this is being developed by a company called Mitsui Fudosan. They are one of the companies that back in the 1980s, many Japanese firms invested in Los Angeles. Many of them have since left. Mitsui held on to this and another piece of property since then, with the eye that at some point, they felt like this was going to be something to develop, and they are now in process on that. This is going to be a residential tower. These are rental units that are under construction right now, right across from Figueroa 7th. And in this mix of all of this office and retail and residential, we're just seeing a really, again, changing the nature of the space. We used to think of this was where the office buildings were. Well, now we're seeing much more of a mixed use going in. So that's Mitsui, and I'm going to come back to them in a second. I want to talk about Metropolis, which another aspirational project, the final tower, the one on the left, just opened this year. It's Thea at Metropolis, and those are rentals. The two towers in the middle are condos, and the one on the right is a hotel, the Hotel Indigo. This project was, again, another aspirational project, and was one of several developed by Chinese developers at a time when Chinese developers were investing all across the world in massive real estate projects. Some of those projects ran into some trouble. One of those, I think we all are aware of, that is still in process. This one, Greenland, completed the project. Condos are being sold. The apartments are being rented. And when all is said and done, this was, again, just another empty space that has been filled in. And when we look at this in the bigger picture going to the future, you've got the Wilshire Grand Center over here, Metropolis, and then to the right, LA Live, Staples Center, Convention Center, more development coming in between now and when the Olympics come. And this whole area is going to be a much more active part of downtown as we move into that future. The final project on our inaugural DTLA Virtual Development Tour is another one from Brookfield. And I'll take this opportunity to say Brookfield is the largest property owner in downtown LA. In addition to the ones I mentioned up on Bunker Hill, they are the owners of the two towers here, the Ernst & Young Plaza and the 777 Tower, as well as Figueroa 7th, which is right below us. A couple of years ago, they made some investment. They purchased a couple of ownership stake in some residential properties. But this is the first Brookfield all the way through new residential project in downtown LA. So they are not just the biggest, but they are looking to expand and move into new areas. And again, this is a residential tower, rental properties. You can see how it's going to add into the skyline here, how it looks from the ground, and just what it's, if you've ever been to Figueroa 7th, how this is going to add in just so much more of a sense of, dynamic sense to the area. But as our last stop, I think it's a great counterpoint, 8th and Figueroa and the Brookfield project there. We have one property owner, one of the biggest in the world, biggest in downtown, that's just pushing forward and expanding their interest in downtown. And another that represents, that has just held on all this time and now sees that now saw that it was time to move forward, and we're really excited to see what these projects are going to bring, and how. And just, I will say, and if you see in our market report, this is a key point that we've mentioned, just to see the work being done here in downtown throughout the pandemic, and to know that these developers and property owners are investing in downtown in their belief that the future is going to be just as bright, if not brighter, as the past. So with that, I'm going to take us on our last drone trip back to where we started, here at 2nd and Grand. And with that, we've reached the end of our tour. I am going to now I'll keep this up. I'm going to bring my camera back on. And then I'm going to ask Cole to join me back on stage so that we have a few minutes. We have about 15 minutes to answer a couple of questions. Before we do that, I may mention this at the end, but I want to just say that, first of all, the platform will be live on our website early next week. For us as an organization, in economic development, our role is to be a resource for you. And so we designed this with you in mind. We want you to use it for your own research, to show to clients, to be able to do these kinds of tours, and for promoting downtown. And we are absolutely always happy to work with you to do custom tours, to do presentations like this. So please, and again, I will say, we value your feedback. Whatever you have to say, we want to hear it. Please drop us a line with any thoughts you have. So with that, I see Cole has joined me on stage. And all right, Cole. So I'm going to ask Cole she's been monitoring the questions. And so I'm going to ask her to just hit me with one of them, and let's see what we, go ahead, Cole.
Thanks so much for your engagement, everyone. And feel free to add more questions. And if we don't get to them today, we can circle back with you later. So one topic, we have mobility questions.
Sure.
Concern about the impact of loss of parking lots, but also folks mentioned the LA streetcar revitalization project. And I know you mentioned the increased role of transit and the regional connector.
Yep.
So I think if you could just touch on some of those.
Yeah. So I think, these first of all, on the parking lots, one thing we'll say is that when you, those parking lot, the removal of those surface lots, you're building a new development, they're putting parking into those developments. So you're taking out a small number of parking spots. In most cases, those get replaced, and in some cases even added to. Overall, when we think about downtown LA and in comparison to other downtown centers, our parking is actually fairly reasonable. It just, in LA, it's not what people are used to. But if you go to cities like New York, like San Francisco, people understand that when you come downtown, parking is part of the reality. But the future is absolutely, transit has increased transit use, more transit access is a key part of that, both in terms of downtown, but the city as a whole, the region as a whole, and as far as, are some of the development plan for building more housing along transit lines. All of that's going to play a role. And the LA streetcar is another great project helping to help people get around downtown. I think it's going to be a big part of sort of the Olympics experience, and it's one of those projects. I think we're all downtowners are very eager to see it, and we want to be able to use it once we're all back to work. Cole, I see is Nick able to? Here, let me do this. Maybe that'll do it. Okay, I think Nick might be joining us up here. I think so. But with that, do you want to give me another question, and we'll go from there?
Yeah, couple of development questions. Oh, there's so many. Love it. Okay. How many total multifamily units will be added in the next few years? Do we know that?
Um, it's hard to say. I mean, when you say the next few years, the first thing I'll say is that we have been, if you look at the past 3, 4, 5 years, we've been setting record after record on new residential deliveries. Just before the pandemic, we had a stat that over the past 5 years, over half of all the new residential units in the city of Los Angeles were actually built in downtown. That's slowed down a bit, and it's hard to know exactly when all of the developments will come up. This past year, there were a little over 1,000 new units opened. I would say between the Grand and a couple of others that are in development, we'll see at least 1,000 in 2021. And then moving forward from there, it's going to depend how projects get going and are the pace at which they are moving.
And we have some questions. Where are our future tours going to be? Any on Broadway in the historic core, hospitality, residential,
yes,
financial district?
We will absolutely be doing adding residential and office and hospitality. What I would say is that we're focused right now. This is sort of the area of our district. As we expand, we definitely, I think, want to add in content on at least the surrounding areas around there, and then maybe consider how we can present others. As you can see, the way that this platform works, we can't. We really wanted to go deeper rather than wider, if you will. And so in this, the image that you're looking at right now, we've got residential properties to add. We've got office buildings to add. We have arts and culture. We'll have retail, and all of that's gonna come first. But yeah, I think we would love to be able to do more of downtown this way, for sure. Before we continue, I don't know if Nick is trying to get his mic to work. But in any case, we'll continue. Yes, go ahead. Next question.
And specifics, I don't know how much you know about specifics. Would love to get an update on the Broadway Trade Center at 9th and Broadway.
The Broadway Trade Center. That's a project that's at 9th and Broadway. It's over 1 million square feet. Was originally the hamburger department store, and has been going. So the first phase of that project was they had to do a lot of just historic sort of renovation, bringing it up to sort of standard. The developers had been looking for several different ways to move forward. I understand at the moment that they are actually planning to that the project will be on sale, and they're trying to bring in another developer. As a developer, the owner of that project, they're not one that's done a lot of work in Los Angeles. And I would say with current situation being what it is, they're hoping to get to have someone move forward with it. I think its location is going to get better and better as we move on, simply because we have it's right across the road from the Apple store that's still moving forward quickly. But at the moment, there isn't much happening at that site. It's one of the projects that I keep track of all the time.
Here's another status question for you. What's the status of the Francisco Street streetscape project?
Right. That's so that is, and here, for those that don't know, I will just, I don't know why that. All right, go over here to Metropolis. So Metropolis, the other side of Metropolis, that's Francisco Street. And this Francisco Street starts at Fig at 7th and goes all the way down to LA Live. Here, there's the JW Marriott. It kind of jogs over a little bit. As far as I know, the intention is that whole street is going to be still redeveloped, a project known as Avenue of the Angels. But but it will, I think it's something that we would hope to see before or as part of the move up towards the Olympics. With things like that, things are always changing and moving. There's moving pieces. One of them here in that case is, and I don't have to zoom in and, but the Salvation Army building right there, there's been talk of how that's going to be moved, and it's not a great location for the Salvation Army, and it's really not the best and highest and best use of the land. So that's a development that's going to be in the works, and once that gets done, I think that's going to move sort of the streetscape effort forward. But definitely, the idea is that Francisco, that sort of between Staples Center and between LA Live and the Wilshire Grand, that's going to be like a key pedestrian corridor for downtown.
And do we have any thoughts or insights on, with so many people successfully working from home, is there a concern there's overweight focus on the office? And
sure. Yeah, and this is one of the questions I think we have to think about all the time. And the short answer is I don't know that anyone really knows exactly how things are going to go. I think it's safe to say that some people will continue to work from home. Some people will return to offices. I think the idea that, so there was sort of this talk early on that, oh, well, everyone's just going to work from home and nobody's going to need to come to the office ever. And I think we've seen, I'd say most companies have had the experience that that's just not really practical. It's not how you work best. It doesn't foster collaboration or mentorship or leadership. It doesn't create teamwork. And offices serve so much more than just so much more than just a place to put a desk and a computer. So the office workers are going to come back. How that works, exactly how we make it work, how it fits, that remains to be seen. The other thing I would say is, downtown and property owners in general, but have proven to be very resilient and innovative in coming up with new solutions for these sorts of things. Someone mentioned, you mentioned we may have extra office space, if you will. We have more than we may have more than we need. We don't have a lot. We're short on residential space. Is there a way that we can make those balance out? We're not sure. So I would say, and the other thing I would say is, while companies may sort of pull back on their office space overall, they're likely to actually look to places like downtown as where they would want to be, because if you're going to have staff dropping in and coming back, coming in part-time or being able to get there easily, you want to be in the place where it's easiest to get to. And that's a place like downtown. And I see Nick has joined us, but he is still muted at the moment. So let's see, can he unmute?
Yeah,
there we are.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Yeah, and I've been struggling to get reconnected, but if I'm on now, right towards the end, I just want to pick up on a couple things that Elon was saying. Number one, in terms of recovery and sort of what we're seeing, because I think that's what's sort of foremost in everyone's mind right now. I think there's every indication that as the vaccine kicks in and we return to some semblance of normal, the economy is gonna have gonna come roaring back pretty significantly, and that's in the general sense, but more specific to downtown. There's a real sense that what downtown has to offer, the lifestyle, the restaurants, the shows, all that kind of stuff, is exactly what people have just been desperately craving for the last year as they've been locked in their house to work and live. And so I'm really feeling like it's going to play very much to our strengths as we come back. And I think that the extent of the development that you're seeing in this tour is testament to that. These are folks who have a long-term perspective on downtown, understand markets like this, and are building into the future. So that's kind of the big thing that I wanted to note. And then on the tour itself, I wanted to reiterate two things. One, as Elon mentioned, we will be rolling out a version 2, which has all the existing properties. This was really focused. This replaced our development tour. We are rolling out a next version that will have existing residential, office, and hospitality projects. And then we will do tours focused on each one of them. So we can bring back our monthly housing tour. We can do our office tours. We can do hospitality tours. But I also want to reiterate that we really see this as a tool for you, for the real estate community, to be able to utilize. We continue to be happy to do tours for you or with you, in partnership with you, but we also built this so that you can do it yourself, so that if you have partners, if you have a client looking for space, if you are working with investors in another city and you want to show them something about this market, this is easy for you to use. It's very easy to use, and we can coach you along anything you need on it. But it really was designed for that purpose. So an investor in Hong Kong or New York, or prospective office tenant who's thinking about relocating can utilize this with their broker or with a partner to find out more about the market.
I need to add something, Nick. Thank you so much for adding that. That's great, because really, I think it is crucial. We really want people to use this on their own and to let us know how you're using it, so that we can and let us know what when you're using it, say, oh, this worked really well. This is something we could use. This would be great. We want to hear all that feedback. I neglected to do something, and I need to do it now. If you go into the chat at the bottom of the chat right now, you will have a link. From Luke Gibson of Luke Gibson Photography. He is the photographer who captured all of these images. This project would not exist without the skill and talent that he brought to this. And I think you can all agree that the images are just, really tell the story so much. And so we're so grateful to have someone like Luke that we've worked with and will continue to work with. And I just wanted to make sure I had it on my note, and then I moved to the next page, and now I'm just looking at it. And so I just want to really give a special shout out to Luke. And as Nick said at the beginning, to the team at Flux Branding for all the work in getting this done. This has been great. Unless, Nick, if you have anything to add, we are at 9:59. We promised we'd get you out by 10. And when I do my bus tours, I always tell people we will get you finished at the time, even if we have to drive all the way around the city. We will finish on time. So I just have to say, I thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for participating in this. Please reach out to us. Please let us know what you think. And please, stay in touch. Check in at our website, sign up for our newsletter. You will be receiving a survey. Email survey shortly, and please fill that out and get back to us. And with that, I will turn it to Cole to finish us off and end the webinar. So thank you all. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we look forward to hearing from you soon. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.